Okay, so let's go to articles. So first of all, we need to consider what exactly do we use for articles and when we should use them. As I'm sure you know, there are four main types of articles. We have a and an, we have the, and we have no article. Now, when do we use these? First of all, a and an is almost always used with singular countable nouns. So this means that we can count them and there is only one of them. So for example, we can say, I bought a computer yesterday. Computer is singular, there's one, we can count computers, so we should use a. The can be used with any common noun. So this means plural, singular, countable, uncountable. We can use the with pretty much anything. So for example, we can say the computer which I bought yesterday, so no comma there, doesn't work. We will look at the difference, like in what situations we use them. We will look at these in just a moment. But we can use that with any type of common noun. And no article we can only use with plural or uncountable nouns. So for example, something like, I like computers. Now we have computers, umnožení, tomu můžeme vživati bez artiklu. So these are the principal types of articles that we have in English. And so now we need to look at when do we use these articles? How do we use them? So if we begin with a and an, at lower levels, like when you're at school, for example, you often learn that we use a and an the first time that we talk about something. The first time we mention something, we use a or an. This is kind of true, but not 100%. What is better is to think about this as new information. Is what I am saying new information to the person who I'm talking to? So for example, if we say like, I have a cat. If we use the article a in this situation, this means that I think you do not know about this cat. Vy neznáte, що в мене є котик. So in this situation, we should use the article a. Just to give you an example of something where we do not use the article a, but it is the first time we talk about something, I can give you the example of something like, please open the window. Let's imagine we are in a classroom, and I say to Sasha, Masha, Pasha, Dasha, please open the window. It's the first time, so pierwszy raz, ale tu my wyżywamy the. And the reason why is because we use the when we have what we call shared information. So I think you know which window I am talking about. And again, this is often taught as the second time, tretí raz, čtvrtý raz, i tak dále, we use the, and this is not always true. If you think the other person knows which thing you are talking about, then we use the article the. It doesn't matter if it's the first time, second time, third time. It all depends on, do I think you know which one I am talking about? And then that is the situation when we should use the. Which again, I know this is maybe not from what you learned at school, it's maybe a little bit strange, but this is how it works as a basic idea. When we have a singular, countable, new information, we use a or an. And when this information is shared, when it's known, we use the article the. The other one that we have in general is no article. I will go into more detail about each of these in just a minute, but the other one that we have in general is no article. And we use this to talk about plural or uncountable nouns in general. So there is nothing specific. You're not referring to it, something that's shared. It's just very general information. So again, if we have our cats as our example, you can say, for example, I like cats. All cats, any cats, doesn't matter which ones. I like all of them. And so we use no article in this situation. So they are the general rules, but there are a couple of extra typical uses of articles. So if we go back to at and an, a couple of extra things that we often use this for. First of all, about jobs. As I'm sure you know, with most jobs we use at or an. So for example, we could say, I don't know, she is a doctor. We often use it with nationalities, is very typical. I can say he is a German. And it's also often commonly used with religious beliefs. For example, we can say she is a Muslim. So with these things, it is very, very typical to use the article a. So with jobs, nationalities, and religious beliefs. The article the has a lot of uses. There are many, many uses for the article the. And the is probably the most difficult one to get right. So we use the with some countries, and we use them with plural countries. So jak się nazywa u množiny, to na przykład my możemy сказати the Netherlands, the United States, the Seychelles, the Philippines, all množina, all plural. So we use that. And we also use that if there is a political word in the name of the country. So for example, we say the Czech Republic. We say the United Kingdom. We say I'm not going to say the name of the country, Federation. Sorry, that should be below. Just put that down. The Federation. In all of these, we have a political word, republic, kingdom, federation. And so we use the article the with these as well. There is one exception to this rule, which is the country of the Vatican. Ultimate Jupiter, thank you for the follow. Дуже радий, що ви з нами. So we say the Vatican. This is the one виняток, exception to the rule with countries. Okay, so let's get rid of that. A few other things with the. We also use the with a lot of geographical things. So if we have mountain ranges, so groups of mountains, na przykład the Carpathians, the Andes, the Alps, we use the article the. Also with seas, so for example, the Black Sea, the Azov Sea, the Sea of Azov, we use the article the. With rivers, so for example, the Thames. London is the capital of Great Britain and it is situated on the Thames. I know the Ouse, річка в Великобританії, Misty York. And also with oceans as well. So we say, for example, like the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. So we also use the article the with oceans as well. All of these geographical things. For geographical things, about the only exception is lakes and individual mountains. We do not use an article. So for example, we can say Lake Svitis, Ja pamiętam, jak się pisze w angielskiej mowie. No article or hoverla, no article. So if we have a lake or one mountain, we do not use an article. But for nearly everything else, geographic, we use the article the. A few other points to add. We also use the with musical instruments. So for example, she plays the violin. We use it with superlative adjectives. So he is the fastest man in the world. The fastest, superlatives. We also use it with newspapers, is also very typical as well. So we say, for example, like The Guardian, The Times, The Independent. And one other thing is we also use the with dates, but only when spoken. So, for example, if we have a date like, actually, let's use today's date, which is 12 listopada. So we write 12th November, but we would say the 12th of November. So we use the article the with dates, but only when we speak. When it's written, we don't normally do it. Then no article, a few nuances here. With no article, there are a couple of things to remember. So with no article, we use no article with what we call proper names. So for example, like Daniel, Mr. Jones, I don't know, Pavlo. I am not the Daniel, na przykład, I'm Daniel. And with proper names, we do not use an article with these. As we said before, with mountains, lakes, and most countries do not use an article. We already talked about this, but like most countries, Ukraine, France, Germany, Spain, Brazil, Canada, Poland, most countries do not use an article when we talk about them. We also don't normally use articles with materials. So like, for example, cotton, silk, suede, suede zamsza, якщо ви не знаєте, то ми можемо сказати, наприклад, this jacket is made of silk. So no article usually. And one other thing, there are quite a few others, but one other thing I want to point out with no article, because this is a very typical mistake from Ukrainian speakers, is we don't normally use an article with meals. So breakfast, lunch and dinner. Як зазвичай article не треба. То ми можемо сказати, наприклад, I had breakfast this morning at 8 a.m. Ми не кажемо, I had a breakfast this morning at 8 a.m. The only time it is correct to use an article with breakfast, lunch, dinner is when we have an adjective before it. So article plus adjective plus, наприклад, breakfast. So ми можемо сказати, for example, I had a big breakfast this morning. Правильно. Because now we have the adjective big. But if we have no adjective, then we do not use an article in this situation. Okay, so that's all of the main things about articles. Does anyone have any questions about articles? Czy was jest zapytania щодо articles? Коли кажуть the Ukraine, це не визнання України як країни, або ж якоїсь географічної області. Yeah, the Ukraine is an interesting one because this comes from history. During the Soviet occupation of Ukraine, we did not recognize Ukraine as an independent country. It was recognized as part of the Soviet Union. And because of this, Ukraine was understood like as a region, as an area. And because of this, it was very typical to put the article the before it. So we saw Ukraine not as a country at that time. Now, we said the Ukraine for a very, very long period of time, until 1991, until the liberation of Ukraine and the end of the Soviet Union. Until that time, we always said Ukraine. And for some people, I think it's very difficult to forget that this is not correct, that we should say Ukraine, because of course, Ukraine is now it's a niezależna kraina. And I mean, it's been 30 years. I mean, it's been a long time since Ukraine has had its independence. But some people, unfortunately, just don't know or don't remember that we should say Ukraine with no article now. But it is for historical reasons. I mean, I think that я вважаю, що коли люди кажуть the Ukraine, це просто це просто звичка, так, можемо так сказати. Це більше як звичка. Звісно, це неправильно. Має бути Ukraine, без «the», це безперечно, це так і має бути. Але я думаю, що просто іноді люди просто, не знаю, просто forget, що так і має бути. But, people are changing, it is getting better, people remember, people now write Kyiv, Odessa, and so on. Так, я бачив Netherlands із артиклем і без. Так, Netherlands має бути з артиклем, якщо за правилами, бо це країна, це множина, тому треба вживати the. Але треба тут також підкреслити, що people are lazy, скажімо так сказати. People do not always follow the rules of the language. So, якщо правильно, це має бути the Netherlands. But I am sure that you will see people write Netherlands as well. But якщо за правилом, це має бути the Netherlands. Бо це